Good evening. I'd like to call our regular board meeting to order. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2026. Could we please have a roll call?
Ms. Grismkowski.
Here.
Mr. Demick.
Here.
Ms. Ryan is absent. Mr. Wiseman.
Here.
Ms. Dodd is absent. I am present. Ms. Cotter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To begin tonight, could I have an approval of our agenda motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Very good. Mrs. Grismkowski made the motion, and Mr. Dimick supported it. Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Grismkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Demick.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving forward, we have items from the president. She's not here tonight. However, on behalf of the board, I want the public to know that very rarely does a board member miss a meeting unless it has something to do with family or something medical. So that's why they are both excused tonight. They have other duties to attend to. And it gives me a chance to be the boss one night. Can we begin with recognitions tonight?
Yes, and I would invite Ms. Rothler to the podium to do the Huron Valley Hero Grant Girls presentation.
Good evening. Tonight we are proud to recognize the Grant Girls for their generosity, leadership, and commitment to supporting charitable causes throughout our community, including many right here within Huron Valley Schools. Grant Girls is a unique organization made up of women who come together quarterly with one common purpose: to grant opportunity and empower dreams. We are so grateful for organizations like the Grant Girls, whose continued dedication to helping others is such a positive example. At this time, if Vice President Lindsay Cotter, along with those ladies who are part of the Grant Girls, can join me up here.
Thank you. On behalf of our Board of Education, it's an honor for me to recognize our Grant Girls. They run around Huron Valley and collect $50 from everybody and then turn around and donate it. And Huron Valley is certainly, we've been able to take part in some of those donations. So, as our Huron Valley hero tonight, bestowed this day in honor of our Grant Girls for outstanding representation of Huron Valley schools. I'm proud to present this certificate on behalf of the board, and I have a special coin that I'd like to also present. Is there somebody that would like to speak on behalf of the Grant Girls? Kim?
Oh my gosh, you're always good at
Come on, this is your,
never
this is your
prepared.
commercial.
And Angelina always says I need bullet points, but I did not know. I'm a little emotional because, you know, when we talked about doing this, we just wanted to do it, and it sounded like a good idea, right? So now we get together, and our first meeting, we thought, oh, there'll be 20 ladies, and it was like 80. And to see the community come together and want to write a check, and some write more than 50, and then for us to be able to turn around and give that back to our organization is pretty special. So this is very, very sweet, and so we feel very honored, so thank you.
On behalf of the board, I'll give you this certificate. Okay. Let me see one more thing. I must apologize to our Grant Girls. Although I started out as a very avid attendee, unfortunately, sometimes the meetings are on the same night as my board school board. But I do appreciate everything you've done for our community, and I know some of our kids have benefited from your donation. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Before we let them go, we are going to take a picture of you with our board, but I wanted to give our board a moment or an opportunity to ask any questions or have any comments.
Thank you so much for the work that you do in our community. We really, I'm always amazed by the generosity, and I love it that it's a women's event. I love that so much. So thank you. One question, when did you start, and who had the idea?
I was only supposed to speak, not answer the questions. Anyways, it was just a conversation, you know, that we had, and we've been going for 2 years.
Almost 3.
Yeah.
2023.
Yep. We talked about it just before COVID hit, and then we couldn't do it. So then we gathered it back up, and yeah.
Okay.
Tom?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I think you're an example of what makes this community what it is. And I'm so grateful to be part of this community as a member of a board member, as a board member, but more importantly, as a member of this community itself, because you are an example of what makes this community so great. You said that the first time you met, you had over 80 people. I guess to answer my question is, how do I join? And do you have a website that you might have that you could Venmo some dollars? And I assume you'll accept money even from somebody that's of the opposite sex.
We do accept money from the opposite sex, for sure.
From your dog, your cat.
From your dog, your cat, if you want to include your whole family, yes, we do that. But we do have a Facebook page. We do not have a website because we don't keep any of the money that we have, so we don't have a way to fund a website. So, and we don't do Venmo unless we know you personally, then we'll give you our Venmo and do it that way. So we prefer cash or check, and the check would be made out to the organization itself. Okay? To the organization that wins each quarter.
We have a quarterly meeting.
So we
You
have
have a quarterly meeting, so the check wouldn't be made out to the grant girls, it would be made out to whomever.
correct.
And how is that communicated? I mean, if I wanted to donate some money, how would I know?
So after the winner is chosen, on Facebook, we post who has won. I just want to make sure, she's our social media girl here.
Okay.
So she posted immediately who won, and at that point in time, we keep the donations open for 2 weeks.
Do you have a meeting, like once every quarter, or?
We have a meeting once a quarter.
And that's
It's usually-
advertised so people can come to that meeting and
Correct.
give you money at that time?
Yes, that's also on our Facebook page too. So normally we have it like the third or fourth Monday of the end of each quarter, or the beginning of each quarter. So it's January, April, July, and October.
Super. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But you can find our Facebook page called Grant Girls.
Yeah.
It's called Grant Girls? Okay.
Thank you, Tom. Any other comments? I also wanted to say that when the Grant Girls get together for the evening, it's one of the nicest things you're doing for the community. It is all women, and we meet at a local venue. Beverages are available and dinner, and I appreciate that time. It's great to be able to network with our community. So again, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Would you want us over there?
Thank you, Madam Acting President / Vice President / the boss. This evening, for our school presentation, we are happy to welcome Lakeland High School, and representing Lakeland High School to kick us off is the proud principal, Mrs. Libby View.
By the flags.
So used to being in the center. Yeah.
Over by the flags. There you go. I love their smiles. Good evening. I'm Libby View, principal of Lakeland High School. Tonight, I would like to highlight our Lakeland High School choir program led by Dr. Jeffrey Nelson. First, I would like to highlight the culture that Dr. Nelson brings to Lakeland. I was invited to be a guest judge at one of their very friendly classroom competitions. I think you guys called it We Got Talent, if I remember correctly. I was blown away. I got to spend the whole hour watching these students who, when I see them in the hallway, sometimes I wonder if they even like school, if they feel safe and like being here. You can probably kind of guess what their demeanor looks like when they're walking in the halls. They normally don't smile. They normally don't give us eye contact. They don't engage. I don't really see them socializing. But then when I went into the choir room and they were all with their peers, they were totally different students. They were the life of the show. They were smiling, they were singing, they were dancing, and they were socializing with everyone. It amazed me that there were no social circles in this classroom whatsoever, and I realized they are happy here. You know, even if I saw a different side, so it made me happy. The choir room, I found, was their comfort zone, where they're free to be themselves and enjoy doing what they love to do, perform. I think the fact that there's always donuts in the choir room helps as well.
Not always. Strategic moments.
Yes, strategically. Joking aside, Senior Madison Sprinkle said it best when she said, "Being a part of the choir program here at Lakeland has helped me appreciate high school more by providing a creative outlet for me to pursue something that I enjoy doing." Oh, I have the ability to advance the slide. Okay. So last year, around this time, Dr. Nelson came to me and pleaded for another hour of advanced choir. He knew he didn't have solid numbers, but he assured me that he could grow the program. He also assured me that the choir was going to grow in talent, and he proved both those things were right. So currently, the 3 Lakeland High School choirs, concert choir, Bel Canto, and Lakeland Singers all earned outstanding performances at the District Choral Festival, receiving 2 perfect performance scores and a perfect score in sight reading. Our Bluebirds, who will perform tonight, these are our Bluebirds, were one of 14 ensembles from all across Michigan to be invited to the Michigan School Vocal Music Association All-State Festival at MSU. Likewise, and again with some free donuts, Dr. Nelson has grown the program. The little free donuts is funny because there was a hole in like the number of male singers he had, and so he enticed all of the male singers to come try out with free donuts. And you got quite a bit.
We had 46.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So next year, he will have 95 students amongst all his 3 choirs, which is over 10% of our student population. Many of these students are underclassmen too, which provides Dr. Nelson with a solid foundation for continued growth. So on the screen, you can kind of see some of the members of Bluebird shared with me their thoughts on the choir program. And I would like to point out what one sophomore, Molly Phillips, shared. Lakeland Choir program has truly shaped my high school career in a way that you can't find in a normal classroom. Being in choir has given me a community as well as a safe place. I've been able to meet people in every grade with varying interests while connecting through music. Being able to break from normal subjects throughout the day to do something I love is so important to me, and it helps me enjoy school even more. Overall, Dr. Nelson has built a solid choral program at Lakeland. It has helped our talented students find a home. Likewise, it has improved our yearly musicals. If you saw Big Fish, you can see why. Some big voices. Good job. Our choir students take great pride in their performance and their ability to bring joy to our community. As Senior McKinley Pietala said, I am most proud of the act that is coming together to make and share music with those around us. That act is so incredibly important and meaningful in our society, and I'm grateful I got to be a part of it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Nelson and our Lakeland High School Bluebirds. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. View. That was very, very kind. So this is Bluebirds. They're called Bluebirds because they include some IA students and some Lakeland students. And the IA mascot is the Phoenix, and the Lakeland mascot is the Eagle, and the colors are both blue. So somebody came up with this a long time ago, so they're the Bluebirds. We're going to sing one piece for you tonight that we sang at the All-State Festival at MSU a couple weeks ago. It's called Toilette Acadienne Montréalaise, which is a mouth reel. You're not going to hear a single word in it, even though it sounds like it might be in French. It's not. It's all syllables, and it's like a fiddle tune, but for a choir. So we're going to perform it for you. This is a group I have just so enjoyed working with this year. It was just a thrill to go to All-State. It was a big deal for us. And it was so nice to be with so many outstanding performers at Michigan State a couple weeks ago. So here we are, Toilette. Would you like your note?
if you want to hear some more, they will be performing Wednesday night at 7 o'clock here. Board members, do you have any questions for our choir?
Denise?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. Are you guys available every Monday night? It was really great. Thank you so much. You sound beautiful. And did you say they're performing this Wednesday at 7?
Yeah, this Wednesday.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other comments? Amy?
Ladies, that was gorgeous. And I think it was just as fun watching you perform this as listening to you, and then watching Dr. Nelson like kind of try to direct you from the side. That was fun to just watch that whole dynamic. So thank you so much. But, we got to hear your beautiful voices, but would you go around and just introduce yourself and tell us what part you sing? Because that's the part I'm interested in.
My name is Hannah Kolberg and I sing soprano 1. My name is Marie Trice and I sing soprano 1. My name is Leonka and I sing multiple parts. My name is Monica Phillips and I sing soprano 2. My name is Jalen Lawrence and I sing soprano 2. My name is Emily Kittle, I sing soprano 2. And then my name is Maddie Sprinkle and then I sing soprano 2 and alto 1. My name is Sophie Kosma, I sing alto 1 and alto 2. And my name is Chloe DeVio and I sing alto 1.
And Amy, to kind of go along with that, so when I saw them perform in the fall, Dr. Nelson was very much not only working on their voices, but working on their stage presence as well too. So the idea that, it was that big exercise where they're not supposed to look at the crowd, they were supposed to look at each other and turn to each other and sing to each other. And I see that unfolding so naturally right now. So to see that growth is fun.
Oh, your stage presence knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mr. Wiseman?
Speaking on behalf of myself that cannot carry a tune if my life depended upon it, not only were your voices beautiful, but what I really concentrated on were your faces. And I never saw so much joy in the faces of all of you young ladies that I saw today while I was listening to you. I was, like I said, was concentrating on your faces. And I think it really typifies, Dr. Nelson, what we as a school district believe in, and that's the academics, the athletics, but here's an example of the arts. And what brings our young people together is a passion, not only what goes on in the classroom traditionally, but the variety of opportunities that we provide to our students. And the fact that this program has grown under your leadership, Dr. Nelson, is certainly respected and appreciated. And when we talk about one of our mottos is inspiring and building futures one student at a time, I think this is an example of that. So thank you very much.
So anyway, Dr. Nelson, and on behalf of the board and to the Bluebirds, thank you for coming tonight and sharing such a nice talent. We truly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good job.
I think they've all got it. Again, we want to thank the Bluebirds for sharing with us tonight. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Salah for some communications.
Thank you, Ms. Goddard. Good evening, everybody. So I have a few items this evening. First and foremost, I just want to thank our board as well as some of our community that made the trek out to White Lake Middle School for the groundbreaking, not groundbreaking ceremony that we had. We got stuck in some torrential rainfall. I think some of us are still wet up here, but we still conducted a nice ceremony in recognition of the groundbreaking that has taken place at White Lake Middle School, and we look forward to all of the opportunities that new facility is going to offer to our students. We just are so grateful to our community for their support of not only the 2024 bond issue, but also the 2019 bond issue. That's the only reason we've been able to update our facilities, create and invest some resources into the school and safety and security, aspect of the operation, as well as invest in the instructional infrastructure and just the overarching infrastructure of our facility. So thank you very much. Second item I had this evening, I wanted to share, I received a letter today from the Michigan school business officials recognizing Nanette Ryan, who works in our business office. And I just want to congratulate Ms. Ryan on completing the MSBO Leadership Institute. Nanette committed to a year-long program, contributing significant hours to participating and developing her leadership skills, and she has earned this prestigious certificate. So just congratulations to Nanette. Nanette is not here. I know Heather is here, and I'm sure we'll pass along that I shared those congratulations, as will Jeffrey. But Nanette, if you're seeing this, congratulations to you. We're incredibly proud of all of the work that you do outside of your normal work in order to work on your professional development and earn this prestigious certificate. That's me. Third item, I just want to congratulate all of our students that participated at both Lakeland and Milford high schools in their honor ceremonies. A lot of students were acknowledged for a variety of accomplishments and recognitions, and we're incredibly proud of all of our students that continue to strive every single day as they work hard in academics and arts and athletics. And I know those recognitions are going to pay off as they graduate from high school and either enter the world of work or enter college and or trade school. So congratulations to all of our honor students. And then, believe it or not, to our Board of Education, I can't even believe it, but it is May 18th, and we will not have another board meeting until after we've passed out diplomas to our seniors, because they graduate officially, I believe it's March 31st, which is a Sunday. I'm sorry, not March, May 31st. And then our next board meeting is on June 1st. So believe it or not, this is our last meeting before we're passing out those diplomas, and the end of the school year is right around the corner. So with that concludes my remarks this evening, and I will turn it back to you, Ms. Cotter.
Thank you, Dr. Salah. Mrs. Pastana, we have student leadership tonight?
We have no student leadership tonight.
Very well. Then I would like to ask for our association comments. Mrs. Hollanders makes her way up to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. The year is definitely flying by, but I'm going to take us back 2 weeks. Tonight, I want to take a few minutes to thank our community for the incredible Appreciation Week that they threw for all of us. 2 weeks ago, the lounges in our buildings were overflowing with bagels, fruit, taco bars, Mediterranean, donuts, cookies, brownies, candy, and more. There was no shortage of food anywhere in the district. Throughout the week, the teachers received cards and gifts from students, and our parent-teacher organizations, they went above and beyond to make all of our educators feel appreciated and so special. In addition, throughout the month of April, I went around to our local Huron Valley businesses and asked for gift cards to raffle off to our educators. The businesses were so generous, and I ended up with 32 gift cards. At 3:15 each day during a Teacher Appreciation Week, I sent out an email listing the lucky winners of the day and letting them know what they won. Some of them won Milford Independent Cinema tickets, Jimmy John's sandwiches, free pizza, and even chocolate truffles, to name a few. We had 14 different businesses donate to us with a total of 32 gift cards. All of our educators look forward to the afternoon gift card email, and the lucky 32 were extremely excited to win. We always say that we have the best community around, and the generosity shown by everyone for Teacher Appreciation Week confirmed this once again. I wish everyone a wonderful week and happy Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you, Mrs. Hollander. Let me ask, any correspondence from our secretary tonight?
I actually did receive a certified letter from Oakland Schools just for the notice for the Oakland School Board election.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Wiseman, do we have a treasurer's report or comment?
The only comment that I make, there is no report, is in a little while, we'll have the 26-27 budget work session, and look forward to hearing from Jeffrey and Heather as it relates to that.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on then to our committee reports. I have Ms. Dodd's executive committee report. The meeting was called to order on May 7th at 2:09 p.m. Present were Mrs. Dodd, Mr. Wiseman, Ms. Cotter, Dr. Salah, and Heather Cadell. Everyone was present. There was no public comment. Our regular agenda items, we reviewed our board agenda for tonight's meeting. Dr. Salah shared with us that the building safety visits had already begun as part of the district's annual safety assessment, which is conducted by our auditing firm, Fortis LLC. Dr. Salah also shared with us the committee and the follow-up document he prepared in response to the visit with Representative Ann Boland. The document included feedback on key areas of focus from the visit, including 31AA, 35M, our literacy grant, the School Finance Research Collaborative, and our transportation categorical. We had an opportunity then to look at board policy updates. The committee discussed the proposed updates by Neola to board policies 1410, 4210, and a few more, and requested some changes. The committee also approved bringing the updated policies forward as new business at tonight's meeting. Dr. Salah shared with us a very early projected enrollment numbers for both of secondary and our elementary buildings. He also discussed with our committee how these projections can affect staffing and FTE allocations within each building. Likewise, the committee requested that Oakland Schools provide a biography of a candidate, Gary Hoff, along with information regarding how to vote for the Oakland School Board of Education Committee that Mrs. Pastana just referred to. Another item, Treasurer Wiseman had a follow-up question regarding the WIN presentation from the April 27th, 2026 board meeting. Dr. Salah was coordinating a meeting with Dr. Nemeth to provide further detail for Mr. Wiseman. Our meeting adjourned promptly at 4:11 p.m. and we'll meet again on June 4th. Thank you. TLT Committee, do we have a report?
TLT met on April 29th at the Administration Building. The meeting was called to order at 9:10. Present were myself, Ms. Grzymkowski, Ms. Cotter, Dr. Nemeth, Dr. Salah, Mr. Lindberg, Ms. Bjorkman, Mr. Kalmbach, Ms. Horwitz, and Ms. Gilbert. Absent was Mr. Endicott. There was no public comment. We had no unfinished business. Under new business, we talked about AP statistics. Ms. Gilbert shared that AP statistics is long overdue for update, as it was last revised in 2010-11. The new course will be streamlined and aligned to current standards, with teachers recommending a new textbook and online platform, and this purchase will be presented tonight. Under standing items, under no strategic plan updates or safety security updates, no student leadership to report, but under student support services, Mr. Kallenbach shared that the last strategic plan meeting was held on April 29th, and he was excited to share the final plan. Under other items, we talked about iReady in grade 9. Dr. Nemeth shared plans to expand iReady to 9th grade to meet upcoming legislative requirements. The district aims to integrate this new screening assessment into the MTSS process. Staff training is planned for May 28th, and more details will be shared as implementation plans develop. We talked about Academic Recognition Advisory Committee. Dr. Nemeth shared that this will be assembled to review secondary grading and recognition practices, including class rank and academic honors. This group will include staff, parents, and high school students. The goal of this committee is to explore ways of honoring and celebrating academic achievement. The group will come together beginning in the fall of 2026 to research, gather input, and potentially develop recommendations. We also had a district band update. Dr. Nemeth shared that band staffing will include 2 new band directors for the 26-27 school year. These new high school directors will also offer support for the middle school band program, but specific structures and schedules are still being finalized. We adjourned at 10:41, and our next meeting is this Wednesday, May 20th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Pastana. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes, the Finance and Operations Committee met on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026 at 4:15 at our new administrative building. Present were myself, along with members Ryan and Dimmick, along with Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gothen, Mr. Reby, and Ms. Kerrigan. There were no public comments, and we reviewed the minutes that are before us tonight. Along with that, we reviewed the consent agenda items, which included the 2026 summer tax collection resolution that's before us. The committee discussed and is recommending to the board approval of the collection of the 26 summer property taxes. Upon approval, a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to each of the townships within our district as notification to levy 100% of the school taxes in the summer. L 429 has been reviewed by multiple sources, including financial advisors, county government, and legal counsel. Under unfinished business, before you is the 26-27 Oakland Schools ISD budget, and it is in front of you for approval tonight based on our recommendation. New business, 2026-2027 budget work session, which is before us also tonight. Jeffrey presented, summarized, and discussed in detail the proposed 26-27 Huron Valley Schools general fund budget. Also included were budgets from the Special Revenue Fund. Committee asked numerous questions of administration. Administration clarified and backed up the reasoning behind these estimates. The budget, as I stated before, is an estimate, as the state has yet to determine what the foundation allowance is, nor have they approved the state budget as of right now. However, the board is required to approve a balanced budget by June 30th, even if the state does not approve a budget to give to us by that date. And we will present as planned at the next board meeting, which is June 1st. The board policy updates 6320 and 6325 were around purchasing and procurement, with updates proposed by Neola to review. Administration will bring these policies under new business at the May 18th, 2026 board meeting. There were no further discussions as it relates to safety and security. Under other, Mr. Reby noted that we have moved to our new administrative offices and have taken ownership of the new administrative services. The administration thanked the committee and is grateful to our community for its new space. I believe we're going to have a formal ribbon cutting without the rain on June 1st. The administrative offices is going to be dedicated to Dr. Nancy Karate at that time. The new middle school vendors will be on site within the next couple of weeks to start their site prep as it relates to the new middle school that was approved by the Board of Education. There are no further discussion items noted. The meeting adjourned at 5:48. Our next meeting will be on May 27th, 2026 at 4:15.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have an update on our ad hoc student support service committee?
We do. The Ad hoc Student Services Support Committee met on May 12th at 1 o'clock at the new administration building. Present were myself, Mr. Kalmbach, Ms. Pastana, Dr. Nemeth, Dr. Salah, and Ms. Dodd. There was no public comment. The majority of the meeting focused on reviewing the 6 major goal areas within the strategic plan and how the feedback from the committee was added to each goal, objective, and their evidence statements. The committee also reviewed the core values and beliefs connected to the strategic plan. The plan reflects key findings from the Empower Ed audit, Oakland Schools Special Education Self-Assessment, the Listening Tour, and the Strategic Plan Committee's work. Overall, the committee expressed strong support for the direction of the plan and the thoughtful work behind it. The department believes the plan addresses the key areas of growth and will provide clear direction to improve outcomes for students with disabilities in Huron Valley. We adjourned at approximately 2:05. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Grisomkowski. Mrs. Cadell, do we have any public comment tonight? All right, then we'll move forward, and I would like someone to give us a motion on our consent agenda tonight.
I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
And support?
I will support.
I knew you were going to do that. It's been moved by Mrs. Grisomkowski and seconded by Mr. Dimick. Could we please have a roll call vote?
Yes, Ms. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Turn the page here. So now we're going to move back to unfinished business. We're going to start with an update to board policies as presented in Exhibit B.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter. This evening, we have updates to board policies 0100, 2370.01, 5136, and 8402, which can be found in your board packet under Exhibit B. We've reviewed these policies on two different occasions during our executive subcommittee. We also reviewed these policies at our last board meeting. The board has had these policies for 2 weeks. I have not had any follow-up questions. As I mentioned during our last board meeting, these policies are minor revisions. So this evening, I would ask for approval of the policies as presented.
Thank you. Could we get a motion from the board, please?
I'll make a motion to, approve the policy, update to board policies as presented in Exhibit B.
Thank you, Mr. Dimick. And support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Mrs. Grisomkowski. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Oakland Schools ISD budget. We will need a recommended motion to approve the Oakland County ISD budget as presented. Any comment?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026-27 Oakland Schools ISD budget as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Dimick. And support?
I'll support.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wiseman. Any discussion on this? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that this ISD budget is one that's presented to all the school districts in Oakland County, and it requires us to approve it or disapprove it and then send it on to the county or to the ISD with our feelings. Attached is a resolution that will indicate the A's and the nays as it relates to this budget. And I think one of the things that I found extraordinarily beneficial is what they presented to us for the first time this year as it related to what the Oakland Schools ISD, the Intermediate School District, does on behalf of Huron Valley. I think it was a very well done document. It showed what our overall savings were by using the ISD, which is appropriate since we're talking about the budget tonight. They highlighted that overall cost savings was $465,000. Overall service value was $666,000. And one of the things that they do is distribute a significant amount of money back to the local ISDs or local school districts, along with a variety of opportunities for our students. work-based learning experiences, certifications earned, and attendees at our early college and our accelerated college experience in our virtual learning. So it was a very well-done document that's available at the administration building for anyone that would like to take a look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. I'm glad you mentioned that handout that we got, because I found it very interesting and was really pleased with how we are supported by Oakland schools. Item C, Exhibit D, AP Government.
We have to vote on this?
Okay. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Of course. Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Grismkowski.
Yes.
I am a yes. Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now we'll get on to our AP Government. Would that be Mrs. Nemeth?
I have not gotten any questions around this, but if we have any, we have our presenter in the audience. Any questions about, this was presented at the last board meeting on AP Government?
We would ask for approval as presented.
Thank you. Could I get a motion, please?
I'll make the motion to approve the AP Government curriculum.
I'll support.
Thank you. Could we get a roll call vote then?
I'm a yes. Ms. Grismkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're good with AP Government. Moving on to new business, we're going to share about the Oakland Schools Board of Education election. We have a resolution regarding that.
Yeah, so thank you, Ms. Cotter. This is a little bit of an unusual agenda item and does not exactly follow our two-step process, so I would just note that for the board's information this evening. So Oakland Schools Board of Education election requires that each school district in Oakland County designate a representative that carries a vote reflecting the will and the desire of this Board of Education. So what we're asking you to do this evening is to pass a resolution in one vote that designates Stacy Sattler, who's a supervisor in our Human Resources Department, or if Stacy is unavailable for some emergent type situation, Heather Kerrigan, who is in the audience, to deliver the vote of the Board of Education regarding one position to the board of the Oakland Schools Intermediate School District for a 6-year term ending on June 30th, 2032. I think what's important to note is what you received in your board packet is there is a single candidate for this position. His name is Gary Huff. Gary Huff is a Troy resident. He serves on the Troy School Board. He's been on the school board for many, many years. Was a retired Troy police officer as well. So you have one option. We would ask for your support in adopting the resolution that is outlined in Exhibit E and giving Stacy permission to deliver this resolution to the Oakland schools on June 1st between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m.
Thank you. Any comments? Or can we make the motion to accept? To approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for Oakland Schools Board of Education election as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Dimick. Support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Mrs. Grismkowski. No discussion, or Mr. Dimick?
Just a maybe point of clarification. The vote is on whether we're agreeing to allow Ms. Sadler or we're voting for Mr. Huff?
Both.
Right here. Okay, both. So are they separate line items or it's just a one and done?
Yeah, so the way that the resolution reads, it says Now therefore be it resolved that the board designates Stacy Sattler as its representative and Heather Kerrigan as its alternative representative to serve as the 2026 electoral body responsible for electing members of the Oakland Schools Intermediate School District Board of Education. The board supports candidate Gary Huff for one position on the Oakland Schools Intermediate School District Board of Education for a term of 6 years ending in June 30th, 2032. The board directs its representative, Stacy Sattler, to vote for candidate Gary Huff, at least on the first ballot taken at the June 1st, 2026 election. So that's precisely what you're taking action on.
Yeah, good question, Mr. Dimick. Thank you for clarifying. Tom?
Normally, it would be one of us that would vote on behalf of the rest of the Board of Education, but because we have a board meeting that night and we have a dedication on that night, there's a conflict, and we felt that it was important for all of us to have that opportunity to be at the dedication along with the board meeting as opposed to voting on this one candidate. But normally it would be one of us that would be the designee as opposed to somebody on the administrative team.
Been there, done that. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski?
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, we will now update to board policies.
Yes, so we have some additional board policies for your review for this evening. This is not an action item this evening, similar to our two-step process. These policies have been presented to our Board of Education. We have, the Board Executive Committee. We have discussed them in exec and reviewed them on 2 different occasions, and we are now bringing them here for a full board consideration. You have policies 1410 with some minor additions on page 2, board policy 4210, which frankly is the identical policy. You know, sometimes Neola has redundant policies depending on the section. 8120.09 regarding volunteers. I think that's an important one to review. And then it's actually what 8120 is doing is replacing 3120.09. So you'll notice that that policy is actually struck through completely. It's being recommended to be deleted. And the same is true with board policy 4120.09, which is also regarding volunteers. So those 2 are being deleted, and 8120.09 is being recommended to be its replacement. So if you could please take a look at these 3 policies and the deletions of policies, and if there are any questions or additional feedback, please send that to me, and we will address those questions so that the entire board has the benefit of hearing those questions. We'll do that through board notes, and if there are not any significant deviations or changes, then we would bring it back to the board on June 1st for approval.
Correct. Mrs. Pastana?
So is the new policy 8120 and 3120, I know .09, is that being struck? What's the number of the policy? Is it 8120 or 3120?
8120.09.
That's the new one?
That's the new policy.
Okay, and we're
Yeah.
going to strike 3120.09?
3120.09 should be deleted completely.
Thank you.
Yep. I can see why that would be confusing based on what you have. Yep.
All right, well, thank you. Moving on to item C, our budget work session, Exhibit G.
And I would invite Mr. Van Gotham to walk through this presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening. So we're going to walk through the 2026-27 Huron Valley Schools budget work session tonight. I think it's important to note that this is a work session. We're not asking for any approval of the budget, but merely a conversation at the board level to talk about some of the assumptions we have made to the original budget that we want to bring to you in a couple weeks at our June 1st board meeting. So I want to start by where we've been up to this point. So we had the board approve an original budget about a year ago that showed a expenditures over revenue budget of about $2.5 million. And that was prior to a state budget from the state of Michigan, which obviously comprises most of our budget, as well as finishing negotiations with most of our bargaining groups. So we have 11 total groups, and I think we had, before this budget was approved, we didn't have an agreement with any group at that point in time. So a lot of unknowns. It's not really a good idea. Not the best way to approve a budget is to have the board do that in early June and then get something from the state of Michigan in the middle of October. So that being said, we got to the first and second quarter budget adjustments, and we asked the board to take on an additional $3 million in expenditures over revenue, or $5.5 million for the current fiscal year in spending. And again, a lot of unknowns when we originally put the budget together. We were actually really conservative in our estimates, and there was a lot highlighted by the 4% reduction in revenue from the state of Michigan from year over year, which is difficult when you're trying to retain and attract staff and go about the day-to-day business of the district. So that took us to $5.5 million, and that kind of leads us into where we'll go tonight with this presentation. So I want to talk first about revenue and expenditures, specifically with the general fund. And so we have not presented third and fourth quarter budget adjustments yet, but when we do that in 2 weeks, we're going to put another $1 million in total on the budget. So a reduction of $400,000 in revenue and another $600,000 in expenditures. And the question will be, well, why would we be adding another $1 million to the bottom line? So we look at revenue and expenditures all the time as a district, especially with our finance department and myself included. Our early childhood revenue is down in the current year. Everywhere preschool is down, not only in Huron Valley schools, but in other comparable districts. We have some miscellaneous local revenue, and you can say, like, what do you talk about with miscellaneous local? That sounds really just general. In this particular case, we had a lot of auto claim revenue last year, so insurance claims that were to the tune of over $150,000 because things were breaking down and we had a couple bus accidents. We've been fortunate this year that we've had a lot less in claims, which is great for us as we look at policy reviews, and so we're reducing the revenue associated with those claims that took place in 24-25 versus 25-26. Also took a little reduction in MIPSR's cost offsets. That was a total of about $7 million for the whole year, and that was a big part of our reduction in overall revenue from the state of Michigan when you look at the adds and subtracts that we had with our budget from the state of Michigan. Also saw an uptick in some expenditures. If anybody has driven a vehicle that takes gas in it, you'll notice that the gas prices have increased. We actually, in our latest bill from our fuel company, paid almost double what we started the beginning of the year with as far as filling up. We have two 10,000-gallon tanks over at the transportation garage, and that cost us a little over $50,000 to fill up this last time. So very expensive to do that. We saw an uptick in utility costs. We try to budget for that pretty accurately, and the uptick in electrical and gas costs cost us to see an uptick there. A little bit of increase in supplies. And then fortunately, we have a lot of bus drivers and a lot of bus attendants, but when we have children that need a little extra special care, and sometimes we send those to center-based programs, sometimes we send one student with a driver and attendant, and because we are really tightly staffed at transportation, sometimes we need to send those kiddos to center-based programs, and they're required to have specialized transportation to do that, and so we saw an uptick in some contracted transportation just because while we're blessed with a pretty robust transportation staff, we still it'd be great to have another half a dozen drivers and attendants helping us out on a day-to-day basis. So those were some of the upticks that we saw, and that's what you're seeing here in this budget, and you had a couple little bubbles on the sheets that show the reduction of 0.4 in revenue and 0.6 add in expenditures to make the total ask for the current year 6.5. I think it's important to note for the community as well as the Board of Education, what you've come to know from finance is that typically our numbers have been better than the budgets we've asked you to approve, and we're confident that we'll still be better in revenue and less in expenditures when the end of the year comes around. But again, we're booking for, in my opinion, worst case scenario, so that we're not surprised come budget time. So that's what you see on that slide right there. We'll keep moving here. So part of the big revenue numbers are not only the revenue we receive per student or per pupil foundation, but also student enrollment. And so this particular year, we have a blended student count of 7,415 full-time equivalent students, which means we're receiving $10,050 for the 7,415 students that we have. And so that number, coupled with the per pupil, is what makes up our biggest part of our revenue that we receive from the state of Michigan. And you see, just like in most districts throughout the state and even the country, there's a downward trend. It's just due to birth rate, nothing to do with Huron Valley Schools in particular. We actually still bring more kids in through school of choice than we lose to school of choice. So when you're thinking about the kids that choose to come to Huron Valley that don't live in the district versus students that choose to leave, we're still on the positive for that and have been in the entire 10 years that I've been with the district. Talking about balancing, obviously it's a complex equation to try to make the budget work with revenue and expenditures, but a couple big ticket items. I just mentioned the 200 projected enrollment change. Right now we're showing a 200 per pupil foundation allowance increase. It's important to note that the governor and both the Senate and the House are calling for $250 per pupil right now. But again, in budgeting conservatively, it's important for us to note that, you know, we're a little bit less than that, so that if it does come true to $250 per pupil, we can be adding to the budget and not subtracting. A couple other bigger changes on the revenue side for the 26-27 versus 25-26. We're going to show an increase in property tax revenue. Property values keep going up. We finally we have over $4 billion in property, if you believe that, for the Huron Valley School District between businesses and residents, and that's a pretty big number. So you'll see an uptick there. We are throwing out the idea of increasing pay to participate revenue. We've done some homework on districts within the LVC, our conference that we participate in, and we are the lowest right now, and we have not changed those in over 10 years. So we're looking at a nominal increase there to help with our budget. We talked about the per pupil increase foundation. We do have 200 student loss in there. We are seeing a decrease in PA 18 funding. Mr. Wiseman did mention earlier this evening, that we do receive a substantial amount of money from Oakland schools. One of those is through a millage, PA 18, which helps us with our special education costs, and they typically provide us with an extra payment in December of our fiscal year, but I don't like to budget for that because it's an extra payment, so it's not guaranteed, and so we're showing a dip in there. I think it's important to note for the community and for the board as well, I'm really proud of the fact that our district really spends a lot of our dollars in instruction and support of that instruction. So on the next slide, you'll see us compared to Oakland County as well as the state, but we try to do our best to keep the dollars in the academic buildings, in the classrooms with the teachers and administrators, and support staff and instruction who do a really good job educating our students. And so you see the 80 is the big part in red there, which is all the instruction and support, and then some of our other categories which make up the remaining 20%. Again, I think we're putting students first because we're outpacing the state as well as Oakland County and what we're spending on instruction and support. While it might seem like it's not that big of a difference on 80 versus 79 versus 75, but when you have a $105 or $110 million budget, I mean, those are big numbers that we're keeping in instruction versus other categories. And I think it's important to note that we try our best from an administrative perspective to keep administrative costs low. And so as a testament to our business office, which is one category, we're spending 1% of our budget on business office. There are some other districts throughout the state that sometimes spend 2 and 3% of their budget on that. And our general administration, which is you as a board as well as the superintendent, it gives me pleasure to see that you guys, and I've always felt that way, you do a really good job with the spending that you do as a board, as well as the cost we use as far as having a superintendent. So just wanted to point those things out. And again, focusing on learning, the operations side tries to be as less of a burden as possible when it comes to our overall budget. And so you can see here, operations and maintenance, people, transportation, and administration, and some of those other central services like our communications and our human resources. We try to keep those as efficient and small as possible. So then you get to the expenditure side. So what you saw is a $6.5 million expenditures over revenue number for this current school year, assuming that the third and fourth quarter adjustments are passed by the board in a couple weeks. We as an administration, and again, we as an administration felt it was good to reduce that footprint a little bit because $6.5 million is just not sustainable. And so we took a long, hard look at some of our expenditures. And so what you'll see in the 26-27 budget, we met as a group in March and had a specific study session around some reductions. And so if you recall, we talked about software costs. We had been carrying a large number in Grad Alliance as an example, that we're not cutting that expense, but just, truing it up from the budget versus actual. We bought a M&O truck this last year that we don't need to do on an annual basis, so we cut that down. There were some other professional services we took a look at and thought of ways that we could cut that down a little bit. We talked about some small grounds equipment that was $6,500. So basically we took a lot of different things, including making sure that our classes were appropriately sized for what our contracts call for, and then based on conversations that we've had at the board level. And so all of that being wrapped up, coupled with adjustments in safety and security, some operational streamlining in M&O and transportation, to utilizing our maintenance and operations fund balance that the board has kept out there for, emergencies or rainy day funds, to our natural staff decreases, along with some adjustments in early childhood, gets us from $6.5 million to $2.5 million in expenditures over revenue, which is what at this point we would probably propose to the board in a couple weeks for our original budget for next year. This budget also takes into account steps and lanes. So we obviously had a 2-year contract with a lot of our groups. So this accounts for the steps and lanes and all of those contracts, and also accounts for like a 3% increase in our health insurance, because again, if anybody is familiar with health insurance, a 3% uptick is like a blessing at this point in time. And then obviously working with our retirement rates, and all the retirement that we provide for our staff is accounted for in here too. So those are some of the expenditure pieces that we're taking a look at right now. Again, taking a kind of a 4-year average on our fund balance, we were blessed to end 24-25 with a fund balance of over 19%. We talked about it as a board as well as an administration that we wanted to reduce that a little bit through being able to pay our staff, our help, raises, and keeping our staff as much as intact as possible. And so, again, if we were to end at our $6.5 million in expenditures over revenue, we would show a 12.3% fund balance. And then again, based on the 2.5 expenditures over revenue for 26-27, we would be at about 9.3%. I'm very confident that what we discussed about 18 months ago when we said, what do we want to be after this next contract, in the 10 to 12% range would be good. And I'm very confident that in another year from now, we'll be between 10 and 12%, because again, this is worst case scenario, not accounting for some of the variances that I know will come true once we have our 25-26 audited and we get some positive adjustments here in 26-27. We obviously have other things beyond the classroom other than our general fund budget that we always seem to highlight, so I wanted to spend some time on that. We have a community service, community rec and ed program that is phenomenal, and so we recognize that on an annual basis, and we'll be asking you to approve a budget in there. Food service, and most of our budget assumptions is going to recognize free breakfast and lunch for our students again. Even if it's not, we still have the ability to charge families for those that choose to have breakfast and lunch So we've actually shown a loss in the next year because we're trying to spend down our fund balance, as we, as well as most school districts, again, in the state of Michigan, are trying to do over the next couple years, because with the meal rates that the state's reimbursing us on, we're just, earning money in there. And then activity funds are things like Milford High School class of 2028, to the Lakeland High School volleyball team, to, senior trip, to whatever it might be. It's activity based, and again, subject to audit like our other funds. And so we're showing the district using a little bit of those activity funds for the various activities we have throughout our district. So in summary, we're proud of the fact that we're directing 80% of our dollars into the classroom in comparison with state and county averages. We're doing our best to actively balance the 200 per pupil increase against a 200 student decrease through some budget adjustments. And then obviously, being fiscally responsible is what the charge is for business and operations, and we're always keeping that in mind. And always, all the decisions, I'm really appreciative of the administration team. We always think about the students first. All of our decisions, some challenging, always try to keep the classroom and the student in mind first and foremost. That's the charge that I believe we're all taxed with. And again, like Mr. Wiseman mentioned earlier, we're trying to do a balanced budget for a bright future, and we try to inspire and build futures one student at a time. So that's a run through, and I'm happy to take questions on that.
Any questions from our board? Mrs. Pastana?
Sure, I can start. Jeffrey, where does the athletic, I know that there's an athletic fund, where does it fall under? Does it fall under the activity funds?
It's part of the general fund, Denise. So the part where I talk about, it's utilized in the same respect with the per pupil funding, and so it's part of the general fund, which was the main fund that we talked about, not the activity fund.
Okay. And can I just keep asking my questions? Ms. Cotter?
Yeah.
So under activity funds, when it says projected ending balance, we just keep that in there, the 1.4, that's just always there?
Yeah, so that goes up and down based
use.
on annual activity.
Sure.
Yep. And so so as an example, if there was a class that had, a budget for 10 years, and the class of 2015 had a reunion, they might eat into that fund because they're going to spend the money, and then that fund is gone. But the buildings, including elementary, middle, and high school, as well as our arts program, so like the choir that you heard this evening, or the softball program at Lakeland, they're also trying to raise funds as well, just to help with the extra costs of whatever it is that activity is doing.
And that's separate, activity versus athletic?
Correct.
I don't know what number the slide is, but the slide that says strategic adjustments balancing the FY 26-27 budget. So under strategic action steps, number 2 is adjustments within safety and security. Can you tell me what those are?
Yeah, so with the adjustments, again, as presented tonight, some of the safety and security items that we've known over the last 7 years have particularly been funded through our 31AA money, which we did not take in the current year, and currently, based on this budget, are not projected to take. We've reduced some of the footprint of our private security, including our safety and security dog.
Yep, thank you. And, my last question, sorry, is early childhood. So I was told that we have a loss in daycare and at camp, right? It doesn't seem that is that correct?
So
we
show a little bit of a loss in most of the categories.
Okay.
School age care, summer experience is pretty close to break even. Daycare shows a little bit of loss in preschool. Unfortunately, this year versus some of the other years has taken, more of a strain just because either families are doing GSRP or they're just not participating like they have in our paid preschool. So that would be like, I don't want to, it's like, what is that, like kids that are like, would be 2 years before JK and then 1 year before JK?
Sure. So I guess I'm confused as to why that is, because, and obviously I'm not in this age group, but I have a niece that's in this age group. And when she tells me how much daycare costs, and when they go to daycare, they are expected to pay up front whether a child is in there or not, it makes me wonder why we are losing money on daycare. I don't expect you to answer that for me, but it does not make sense to me. Same thing with camp. When you hear, it's on the news, it's on articles, get your kid in camp. If you don't register your child for camp by January, February, your kid's not going to camp, right? And so there's some disconnect there that I, as a board member, want to know why. Why is there a disconnect? Why is that facility losing money? So I'm not expecting you to answer it, but I'm throwing it out there because I can't approve a budget if I don't know the answers to those questions.
So if it's okay with you, Ms. Pisana, can I give some high-level thoughts on early childhood? And then again, this is merely a budget discussion. Between now and 2 weeks is like new business to unfinished business. Happy to ask additional questions or even follow up with board in the next couple weeks of notes as well. So I can tell you summer experience is pretty break even. So I'm not suggesting that there's a loss in that, and that's summer camp. What we do find, unfortunately, with like school age care is that we have to have 2 people at every site. So we are reliant on parents paying, and for the most part, we do get people to pay, but I can tell you that last year when we really staffed up to make sure we were going to start the school year properly, within a week of summer school age care taking place, we lost 20 families who just said, I decided I'm not coming. So there's time to be quick and take action, but if we've staffed for a week and you have to wait like a week or 2, you can't just like cut staff like the day that somebody doesn't show up. There's losses that happen through there, and then fortunately, to the best we can, we price it to try to break even. So we include our overhead, which is like our administrative costs for the staff that's there that are administering the program that are not actually in the classroom, and then the actual cost of the staff to do daycare. So we had to give raises for daycare and preschool and tried our best to catch up with revenue, but the families had already seen a 20% increase, and so to do another 20% increase, we're just, to pay people appropriately and then also to have the rates at what they are. Sometimes it's it costs us a little bit of money, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that we gouge, our community or the people using these facilities. I understand it's very expensive. I am suggesting that we staff appropriately. So if we don't have a commitment, I'm just suggesting we look at a different business model maybe, because I would think that we would staff for something that we know that we're going to need, as opposed to staffing, hoping that they come, and then if they don't come, then I don't want to do it to the staff either. So I'm suggesting maybe we look at a different business model. Just my appointment.
One additional piece of information on this. Prior to COVID, this was actually a revenue positive program. Post-COVID, after the age of work from home and family dynamics really shifting, we have struggled mightily and not for a lack of effort, but we have struggled mightily with trying to create a business model that is sustainable. In many instances, part of the problem is we have enough children to offer in the morning, but not the afternoon. So the issue there was, hey, we'll hire staff, but they can only work 2 hours. So in order to make that attractive, you have to pay them a little more, but then you're not offering it in the afternoon. Who wants to come in and work for 2 hours? And then we tried to create combined positions. you can be a paraeducator and a school-age care employee, or you can come work in the cafeteria as a lunch volunteer. And then every year, because of the imbalance, we've had to increase rates of pay. And, you know, in conversations that we have with parents, even parents who are on the board, I know Laura, you know, and I've had many conversations about school-age care when her daughter was younger. And she's like, just charge us more. Like, we'll pay it. But they're not paying it. And so I hear you, we hear you loud and clear. And this has not been for a lack of effort. For years, we have continued to try to operate school-age care, and we're wondering whether or not we're getting to the point where we just can't offer it. And we may be there. We may be at that point where it is just not sustainable for us because we're pulling money out of the classroom in order to operate a program that not enough people, some people want it, but not enough people want it. We even met with Carl's YMCA and sat down, tried to come up with a collaborative business model where we could perhaps, you know, come up with something, and it's just nothing we've done has been successful on this front.
Thank you.
Any more comments? Mrs. Grisomkowski.
So the strategic adjustments, they will account for $3.8 million. Is that correct? In terms of the reduction in expenses, approximately, if I'm doing my math correctly.
Yes, you are correct.
What are we thinking in terms of, obviously, we're looking at reducing the number of private security and Rosie. We're also looking at our classroom sizes. And I guess my other question is, I mean, I know that we went through a process and looked at almost everything that wasn't, that was available to be cut. And this is what we came up with. You know, 9.3% for the safety margin for our financial health is absolutely reasonable. My concern is if it ends up not being a full $200 per student, I mean, we could be getting $200, right?
We could be getting more.
They would say, however, but with MEPSPERS, we're going to take basically $150 away.
Yes, and that's what they did last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, my concern is if that happens, now we have a different conversation, right? Because now 9.3% at the end of 26, 27, that's not good enough. And we all know this, but I'm going to say this publicly. I'm frustrated. I read an article today about how the governor and the House and the Senate said we missed our deadline, not once, but twice. That can't happen again. That does our students a disservice, that does our community a disservice, that does our business and our finance office a disservice. The people of Michigan deserve better. We cannot make good decisions without having good information. I am frustrated by this budget, and not on your behalf. Not on your behalf. I'm frustrated because I know these are words on a paper that say strategic action steps. But these are people. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about people. It's pretty, but we're talking about people, whether it's Joe and Rosie, whether it's Fortis, whether it's our teachers. When we have to right-size our classes, that means either we don't replace someone and we don't bring new blood into our district, new educators. We have a lot of educators that are ready to retire. I don't want to lose our new educators. And I don't want to be a district that can't attract and retain teachers. That is critical to me. So I'm frustrated, not with you, Jeffrey, not with the business office, but I'm frustrated that we have to have these conversations instead of valuing education, instead of valuing the one thing that is the great equalizer, education. And I'm just going to close my little portable soapbox and put it in the back now. But I'm frustrated because at the end of the day, our mission remains unchanged. We inspire and we build futures one student at a time. That happens in the classroom. But we have to get them there. We have to feed them. You can't let kids not be able to get to school. You can't have kids not eat. We have to provide good curriculum. We have to provide good testing to find out where they stand and how we can fill the gaps. We have to provide salaries for the people who work diligently every day to educate our students. I'm frustrated. I appreciate the work that you and your office have done, but this is a very frustrating budget.
Thank you, Amy. Any more comments or questions? Yes, Mr. Wiseman.
I appreciate and respect the work that you and your staff have done. I've been in your spot in my previous life, spent a lot of time as related to budgets, and I too am very frustrated because not only does it equate to people, because you very eloquently described the fact that we are in a people business and 80% of our dollars that we receive, whatever dollars we receive, go back into the classroom, into people, because we don't manufacture widgets. We work with young people and provide opportunities for them. We spent a lot of time in finance and operations discussing this budget, talking about this budget, and as a board member, I don't want to micromanage the budget. You guys are the experts, you and Heather, along with the rest of your staff, and Dr. Slaw. I am very frustrated, I'm very concerned, because in the past, you've always budgeted very conservatively. You know, as I said before, I respect that. And we need to do that, especially when we don't even know how much we're going to get from the state. And we have to have a balanced budget by June 30th. And as Member Grzynkowski stated, here we are. We received the revenue consensus just a couple days ago. It was a little bit better than what we expected, but not nearly as good as it was last year at this time. We also gave to you a variety of parameters as it related to negotiating, because last year at this time we didn't know where negotiations were going to end. And at that point in time we adopted a budget that had a structural deficit to begin with, without finalizing negotiations. And it did not come as a surprise that our structural deficit grew from $2 million approximately to $5 million, because we need to attract and retain staff, and that's within the direction that we as a board gave to you as related to budgets, to that. So didn't come to a surprise that our fund balance went from 19.7 to 16.7 to 3% or 13%, because we had that. Then there were some other adjustments that were totally out of our control that actually, when you present our third and fourth, we're going to have another $1 million. In past years, those structural deficits that we approved actually came out to be surpluses once we did the audit. I am not optimistic that we're going to be able to cover $6.6 million worth of structural deficits. I know that over the years, through your work and along with your staff, that structural deficit became a little bit less than what we anticipated. What I heard you say, Jeffrey, was that you anticipate the same this year. But it's still going to be a structural deficit. So our fund balance isn't going to go up from the previous year to this year at audit time. It's still going to go down, but it might not go down as much. I am very concerned because a structural deficit is no different than your household budget. If you spend more money it's going to have to come from someplace, and it's going to come from your savings. And eventually, if you don't make adjustments, That savings is going to go away, and you're going to feel the pain. So as Member Gryzinkowski said, we made some strategic changes as it related to the budget because the structural deficit went from 6.6 to $2.2 million. So there were some adjustments that were made as it related to staff. And I call them adjustments. I don't call them cuts necessarily, because what we're doing is making adjustments based on our student population. What I am very concerned about is there are some things in there that potentially could be cuts. Okay? And that is around safety and security, along with a variety of other types of things. Member Pistana talked about a business model. We need to really focus, and this is me speaking, we need to focus on our business model, and we need to focus on what our core business is. And if it's outside the realm of our core business, we need to take a hard look at that and come up with a business model that pays its own way. Whether it be school-age care, whether it be tuition-based preschool, we're competing with ourselves because, early childhood is extraordinarily important to me. I've expressed a great deal of passion as related to making certain that we have our young people with a solid foundation. But with GSRP, it's tuition-free. There are a lot of people that want to take that because there's a significant cost savings. There are other people, though, that want to pay tuition for preschool. Well, that tuition for preschool, or tuition-based preschool, should carry its own weight. And if it doesn't, we do provide an alternative. The alternative is going to school more often, following the school calendar, but it's picked up by the state. And so that's an alternative. But I, for one, am a grandparent of grandchildren that go to tuition-based preschool. All right? That's a choice that we make, but we need to make sure that we're paying what it costs. That's all I'm saying. At the same time, another area, and I appreciate the fact, but even the governor, the House, and the Senate all agree that there's an agreement there that it's $250 per student. We're budgeting $200. I'm not suggesting that we change it to $250, but I'm saying there seems to be that $250 is pretty solid right now. That doesn't mean it might not change, but right now all three are in concurrent with that. At the same time, we need to continue to take a look at safety and security because there's a lot of unknowns. I absolutely, and the rest of the board, and I know I'm talking, to the choir here. Pretty appropriate since we had the choir here earlier. But we talked about 31AA, and we as a board unanimously agreed that we, along with 75% of the school districts in the state, would do a class action suit as it related to language within 31AA, because we have been extraordinarily proactive to make certain that our buildings are safe and secure. There's a variety of steps that we've taken. Thank goodness our community has supported us because we were able to harden a lot of our facilities. But at the same time, back several years ago, the state started giving us money based on local control, how that money was going to be spent, whether it be on Fortis, whether it be on Rosie, whether it be on a variety of other things. We put a lot of those things in stopgap because we did not have the facilities necessarily to protect our students, because safety and security is extraordinarily important. And I feel confident that I'm speaking on behalf of the rest of the board. But we need to continue to take a look at 31AA because that's about $150 per student. That's not in the budget right now. But we as a board felt very strongly that the language within that 31AA was more reactive after the fact as opposed to being proactive to keep our students safe. We need to continue to lobby for 31AA as it relates to the language. And I, as one board member, think that maybe, we legislatively, or excuse me, not legislatively, but through the court system, we went through this process as it related to that, and unfortunately, they didn't see what we saw. But we were working legislatively as it relates to changing a lot of that language. Unfortunately, our governor and our House isn't taking it far enough. The Senate is, okay? Here again, we're caught between we're in a hard spot here. We have to adopt a budget that's balanced, but it's not what some pieces are very distasteful to me because it really boils down to making certain our kids have the same opportunities they have, that they're safe and secure, that they're delivered to our portal so that they can learn, so they're ready to learn. But at the same time, we don't know what's going on at state level. So sometimes we have to make some of those decisions. And I hear it. And Dr. Slaw and I have had a lot of these conversations regarding all of this. And how do we do it? And sometimes it boils down to trying to do two things at once. Maybe it's a case that we continue through the court system as it relates to 31AA, but at the same time look at the language and see if there's some middle ground at least that we can get, because $150 per student is a lot of money. And it can provide mental health, it can provide safety and security, and it also can help buffer us into the future as it relates to what our fund balance is. Because if we don't, we can't kick the can down the road. Okay, we can't say, yeah, this budget's great, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and our fund balance continues to go down. Because eventually, it's going to get to a place where we can't do it, and it forces our hands. So we have to look at our business model, we have to look at a variety of other types of things as it relates to the safety and security of our students, the opportunities for our students, and all of those other types of things. So I know I'm doing a lot of preaching right now, but at the same time, we have to look at a variety of types of things, and it's not an either or. Sometimes we have to kind of look in the middle and say, okay, does this make sense? Yes, God forbid something happens. We want to be proactive. We want to do this. We want to do that, and we're going to continue doing what we're doing now, but maybe we need to accept some of it. Some of it might be distasteful, but we're in a situation right here that, what are we going to do? We can't continue to live spending our savings. That's the bottom line. This year's budget is more solid than last year because we know that our bargaining groups, I think, well, help me, we have 11 bargaining groups. 8 of them are settled for this year. 3 of them go into it even the following year because there are 3-year contracts as opposed to 2. So we don't have the great unknown that we had last year at this time. These adjustments that you're making are pretty solid. But looking at foundation, I'm realistically optimistic that instead of 200, we're going to get 250. I'm a little bit concerned about the projections as it relates to PA18 because I know that's a county-wide millage, and I understand that we're getting a second payment because some school districts didn't take all their money, but at the same time, there's money there. We need to take a look at the business model. We need to take a look at 31AA. There's a variety of types of things that we need. Quite frankly, I'm uncomfortable at approving a budget that shows a fund balance of being at 9.3. I understand how you came up with 9.3, and I understand and appreciate and respect the fact that you're conservative. But listen, I'd love to have a fund balance of 15% and consistently provide the same opportunities as we've provided in the past. But we can't continue doing what we're doing, but we need to take a look at this budget. We need to take a look at where we're at now, take a look at some of the projections that and if that's where your comfort level is, it is what it is, but we've really got to take a look at a variety of types of things and really identify what our core business is, identify those areas that aren't, and quite frankly, when I first got on the board, and I think Member Pastano was on the board, our fund balance was less than 5. It was like 3%. And at that time, the special revenue funds actually were the responsibility of the general fund. So and one of the things that we took a look at was the special revenue funds and made sure that they were paying their own way so that our fund balance was exactly what it was. We were below 3% at that point in time. So we've made great strides, and I appreciate and once again respect the fact that we've received a lot of other districts felt this pain because they used this one-time only money and used it for reoccurring costs. But we knew this time would come because, quite frankly, our government, our state government is not meeting this. What they're proposing at the state level doesn't even meet inflation. And that's what the tragedy of all of this is. And we're trying, as a local school board, doing what's best for our students. And I'm a firm believer of local control. And that's what 31AA is, more reactive after an event as being what we are, as being proactive as a community. So, enough said.
We're so boxy tonight.
Any more comments? Thank you, Mr. Van Gotham. Under new business, we have Exhibit H, more board policy updates. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, so these are actually finance and operations policies that were reviewed on two different finance and operations committee meetings. There are just some changes to the total amounts of and who the approver needs to be. So we would just encourage you to review those over the next couple of weeks, offer any feedback you might have, and we plan to bring it on June 1st for approval.
Any questions for Dr. Salah? Seeing none, we'll move to Exhibit I. We will now discuss AP statistics.
Okay, and I would invite Dr. Nemeth to take this agenda item.
Okay, this is an item for discussion regarding AP stats and an update to the textbook. So I'm inviting Martin Lindberg and Connie Gilbert up to share a little bit more information on this resource.
Thank you. And first of all, thanks for approving the advanced placement government resource earlier tonight. And so you approved one, we'll bring you another advanced placement. So this one, advanced placement statistics, we usually refer to it as AP stats. And so we'll be talking to you about that tonight, myself and Connie Gilbert. And so just a couple of quick things about AP stats. It is a math elective course. It's a course that's often used as the fourth course in the requirement for students to take during their senior year. Some students will take it as juniors, but the vast majority of students take that as seniors. And you can see that the bottom part, that is our course book description, and just like other advanced placement courses, students will take a test at the end of the year, their AP exam, and can receive college credit for this class. And then Connie will tell you a lot more about the resource, and then we'll wrap things up.
So a little history about our AP Stats course. The last time we actually purchased a textbook for this course was back in the school year 2010-2011. So that was a while ago. And we do like to have our curriculum review cycles span about 10 to 15 years. So putting that at 10 years would have been 2020, and of course, our priorities were different than looking at AP Stats books during that time. But it actually worked out to be a benefit to us because when we waited the additional few years, College Board actually came out with a new CED, or course and exam description. So that actually came to our benefit because now the new textbooks that are out are aligned to that new course and exam description. So our two AP Stats teachers came together this year, and we reviewed a few different resources, and they piloted them in their classrooms. And they were both in agreement with the one that we're bringing you today, that they would like to have that purchase as the resource for their class moving forward. So what is nice is by implementing this next year, it will align with the new exam that will be implemented the spring of next year. A little bit about the new CED that has come out for this course. It is changing from 9 units into 5 more robust units. It does have some revised statistical practices, updated terminology and formulas. It does have that redesigned AP exam, and now that exam has the calculator Desmos embedded into the platform called Blue Book. That is also the same calculator and platform that is utilized for the SAT. A little bit about this book. It is called The Practice of Statistics for the AP course, the 8th edition, published by BFW and written by some of the very well-known names in the AP stats community. Again, it is aligned to that new AP course and exam description and includes many different instructional resources for teachers as well as many supports for students. It has expanded technology support, so not only Desmos calculator, but if students are bringing maybe their TI-84 calculator or the new NumWorks calculator, there is that support on the platform for the students. And as all AP books do, it does offer a lot of AP exam practice and tips within the resource. So our two teachers were really impressed with this book. We have one of our teachers is more of a veteran teacher to this course, and one of them is a little bit newer, and so they both brought their different perspectives on how this resource supports their instruction. With this resource will come a hard copy edition, and in that edition comes a lot of background information, which is really good in case we do have new teachers teaching this course. Sometimes as math teachers, teaching AP statistics is a big jump from teaching regular algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. And so all of that background information is just helpful for the teacher to prepare for their instruction. Of course, it has planning pages and a lot of wraparound features to help teachers look at what type of tips should I be giving during this instruction, what can I expect that students usually struggle on, and so they can anticipate that in their lessons. The other great thing about this resource is not only are they getting the hard copy teacher edition, but it comes with a digital platform. And on that platform includes some of the following you'll see here: professional development videos. There are editable lecture slides that teachers can use and edit to their style, a bunch of different handouts and full solutions. There are so many different formative and summative assessment resources that they can utilize and push out to the students on the platform. Then they can get the data back and they can see where students struggling to help inform their instruction the next day. And it does have a nice Google Classroom integration feature. As far as the student resources, we are hoping to get hard copy textbooks for each of our students, but that will also come with an ebook and the student platform access. And with that will come an interactive textbook so that students can have the textbook read to them. They can highlight certain features and save important pieces that they want to come back to. There are self-graded homework assignments within the platform that the teacher can push out, and so they could even get the answers immediately as they're working on their homework assignments. Again, that Desmos calculator built in. And a very new feature is this AI tutor that the teacher can turn on and off, but it can act as that extra support as students are working on their problems. Also, a nice, neat connection I'd like to point out is the See Yourself in Stats within the unit so that students can really connect what they're learning to possible careers that they could have in stats in the future. I was just looking up a few of those and wrote a few down. You know, of course, a lot of students may be, oh, the sports analyst, that's where I'm seeing sports, but, you know, a market research analyst, an actuary, operations research analyst, or something in data science. So really just being able to see how they're learning, the stuff that they're learning in class could help them in their future. Okay, with that.
And so we're coming to you tonight asking you to approve this purchase. When we looked at the historical trends in this class, we found that usually about 3 sections were running across Huron Valley between Lakeland and Milford, and so that's what we're presenting to you, purchase for 3 sections that would support all the students in those. And so if there's any questions.
Questions from the board? Mrs. Pastana.
Not really a question, because we did talk about this in TLT committee, especially in light of discussing budget. Can you tell them the process of why that this is planned expenditures that we're used to? So, you know, we're saying, oh, we can't afford this, but we've come to you the last 3 committee or last 3 board meetings asking for new textbooks. So can you just explain that so people understand it?
So in TLT, we're usually looking at least 3 years ahead, and within our teaching learning technology budget, we have set aside, we think we're gonna need X amount of money for this curriculum purchase. So this is not unplanned. Like we said, we've actually had it on the budget for quite a few years. We kept just kind of pushing it to the next year, so it kind of had a placeholder.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also, this is part of Jeffrey's 80% of the budget that he talked about during the budget meeting as well.
More questions? Mrs. Grismkowski?
Sorry, I'm chatty tonight. Every night, let's be honest. One thing you said in here, and I must have missed this in the TLT meeting, was that this had Google Classroom integration. Does most of our new curriculum have Google Classroom integration? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes. Is this a full-year class?
Yes.
I had statistics. Many of you know that I'm a CPA, so you have statistics, right? I found statistics extraordinarily boring. That's me, okay? My whole deal is relationships, rigor, and relevance.
We said it was too hard.
You touched base on careers. How do you bring relevance into statistics?
Actually, I think it might be one of the easier courses to bring relevance to because everything that is a story problem. So it does require a lot of reading, and that's where usually students can struggle. So it's really nice to have the online platform with the additional features and the additional teaching strategies that are in this to help students be successful in that. But I would argue it's almost one of our most relevant courses that students can take.
Is it relevant because they can attach careers into the rigor of statistics? Because I found, I'm being unfair because I'm showing some bias, that it was very rigorous, but it was like, why? Why am I learning this?
Well, I think even just some of not necessarily the connection to careers, but maybe just how they can like survey their own classmates on certain, preferences or things. And then they take that data and they look, what are the trends for that? How many athletes are in this class versus what are the other extracurricular activities? So I think it's more relevant in that way of like taking actual things that they know about and seeing how the numbers look.
And how you can use the statistics to build a platform for why you're doing certain things
Yes.
the way you're doing them.
Yep.
And I think that's extraordinarily important.
And we do have statistics units in both Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, so
Okay.
students do have exposure
So there is
to working
exposure
with,
in other classes
Oh,
other
yes.
than the AP as it relates to
yes,
statistics.
to working with data displays and being able to interpret different data representations.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Seeing no more comments, I will say thank you very much.
Yeah, I would just mention we do have the book as well, and we'll share that, and you guys can look at it.
Mrs. Cadell, have we received any more? Good, we're good to go. Seeing no public comment, does the board have any good and welfare to share? Amy?
Sorry. I did want to let you know that this past Friday, both Lakeland and Milford participated in the regional track meet, which is it's a very difficult to qualify, and then B to compete. And Lakeland and Milford both did admirably. But just to give you an idea of how competitive our area is, Milford High School, we've heard of Kyle O'Rourke. He's been here to the board. He qualified. He was a phenom on Friday. But Milford's 4x4 team, you qualify for states by having the top two teams or the top two people who competed. And then there's a qualifying standard, an additional qualifying standard. And that qualifying standard is it's obnoxious. It's so difficult to get. In the 4x4, the boys 4x4, the top 8 teams are going to states from our region. 8. I was blown away. Like the speed of these kids, unbelievable. So I just want to congratulate both Milford and Lakeland for their outstanding performances on Friday night. And There were several kids who were hundredths of a second away from going, and that was heartbreaking to watch. But they should be proud of themselves because they really just they knocked it out of the park. I was really proud of them. So congratulations.
Thank you. Any others? Well, I just wanted to mention, I'm trying to think of the name of our youth theater group, but they presented Alice in Wonderland at the Little Theater yesterday, and I was amazed how professional all these little kids were. They did a wonderful job. It was very well presented on the stage for the number of students that were participating. So hats off to that group. The kids did shine. Okay, that ends this meeting. Thank you.